Welcome to my miniature demonstration on how to make the best vegan Cuban arroz con pollo you will ever have. My mother, who is, well, my grandmother's Cuban, but my mother grew up making the traditional arroz con pollo with chicken all of the time growing up, and this was the one recipe I could never veganize, and I finally did it. And when my mom tried this earlier this year, she said it tastes 99% close with the taste. So I'm gonna show you what I do as best as I can. I'm gonna not film too much because I actually don't, just kind of eyeball all of it as I go, but what you need is really simple, and the hardest thing about this recipe really is just chopping everything. So you're gonna need 2 Goya packets. Traditionally you use 1, but I put in 2 because it needs more oomph because you're not having the chicken broth. Some sort of bouillon cube. You need all 3 colored peppers. You need 1 clove of garlic. You need a white onion. You need some tomato paste, green olives, and then vegan chicken of choice. I'm gonna try and do the shredded chicken, but in my opinion, Beyond or something close to Beyond Meat is better for the first step of what we're going to do in this process. So yeah, I'm gonna just chop everything first because that's the hardest thing, and then I'll show you what we do. And of course, you'll need a ton of olive oil and salt and pepper to taste, and then yeah. Okay, the first thing is to be very generous with the olive oil. I don't measure. I'm gonna try my best to measure for this blog post, but I use several tablespoons because I find it's the only way you can mimic the fattiness. The first thing we're going to do is you're gonna heat up your vegan chicken and you're gonna fry the vegan chicken in the olive oil. Then we're gonna take it out, and that is the base of what the chicken is supposed to be like. So this is gonna take a few minutes. You want to hear sizzling. You don't want it to get to the point that it's burning, and you want to keep adding olive oil. Like, I cannot stress this enough. Just keep adding olive oil because you're trying to recreate the fat from the chicken that you're missing. So if you see oil is going into the chicken, like, put more olive oil back into here. Then after that, we're gonna take the chicken out, put it on a separate plate somewhere, and then you're gonna start putting in your aromatics. You're gonna do 1 clove of garlic chopped, 1 onion, white onion chopped, or yellow onion, and you're gonna soften that. And then when we get to that point, recook. Also very important, you want to season with salt and pepper every single step of the way as you do all of this. So when you're doing the chicken, then you're gonna do it again when you do the onions and the garlic, and then you're going to do it again for the peppers. So that's how you build the same chickeny flavor profile. Make sure you scrape it because that's flavor, and you want it to have that chickeny flavor, again, trying to mimic the chicken broth. So I'm gonna let this saute while I chop up all of my colored peppers. My peppers in a second. Remember, more olive oil, salt, pepper. My peppers are in, salt and peppered. Again, couple minutes, let them saute. Then, because I'm stupid, you know, obviously you need some rice. My mom says you need to use Ben's original rice long grain. Last time I did this with basmati, I mean, every time I've made this, I've just used basmati rice, but my mother, who has a Cuban mother, complained about the length of the rice. So if you want it to be super, super authentic, use Ben's original long grain rice. I always eyeball this. I'm going to guess, this makes a huge batch of arroz con pollo. I don't know, like a week's worth for 1 person. I'm going to guess that I use about 2 cups, and then I use like a 1-to-2 ratio of rice to water when I'm doing this. So I'm gonna guess that I put about like maybe 1.5 cups, 2 cups of rice, and then I put like 4 cups of water with this vegan bouillon cube. The rest of the process is gonna go very fast once this is done because we're gonna put in the rice, the stock cube, the Goya, and the tomato paste, and then it's all gonna simmer. And then another thing I forgot for the very, very end, put in just a dash of oregano. I don't know why, but it helps with mimicking the flavor of everything I'm trying to do here. So that's the recap for what's gonna happen next while this sautés. Remember, every step you put in another, I'd say like drizzle of olive oil, salt, pepper, because you're building that fattiness that you don't get from the chicken. Because we're doing measurements for a blog post, yes, I put 2 cups of the rice, and then 4 cups of water. You see the oil kind of coming. Again, that's the mimicking the chicken broth that you would not get from just using this vegan stock cube alone. But now from here, we're gonna do everything. We're gonna put in the stock cube, the 2 packets of Goya, salt and pepper this again, 1 more time. And then you're gonna put a heaping tablespoon, I dare to say 2 full tablespoons of tomato paste. Classic arroz con pollo, I think, uses tomato sauce or crushed tomatoes, but I find that tomato paste gives an umpier flavor to help make up for what you miss when you don't have the chicken in here. So you're gonna put everything in here, and then you're gonna bring it not to a boil, not to a simmer, kind of like medium heat, I would say. And you're gonna stand here and keep stirring it until it's I kind of baby it kind of like risotto. I salted again, stock cubes in. Now I'm going to do the Goya and the tomato paste. So that's what it looks like when you got your 2 tablespoons and 2 packets of Goya. Now I'm going to take a spoon, and I'm going to keep stirring, and I usually end up needing to add water because I don't put enough. I will find out and obviously adjust the measurements accordingly. Measurements actually seem okay to me right now, so yeah, like I said, medium. My stovetop runs like a little too hot, so don't listen to me. Medium heat, like a 6 or 7, you know, usually is pretty good. I'm going to take my top, wash it, and I'm gonna like cover it but leave it slightly open, so then I'm still watching it to make sure that I don't need more water in here, and if I do, I'll add a little bit more and salt accordingly. This is when you can chop your olives. I'm a lazy person, so I just tear them with my hands, and then don't drain the can because we're going to use some of this liquid, probably the majority of it, and you're going to put it directly into the arroz con pollo. I do this because, again, I feel like the salty brine helps to mimic chicken broth, and I think this is a really imperative step, so don't skip this. I'd say this is one of my secrets to really mimicking the taste. So you're gonna have it kind of is boiling. Yeah, you want it to be boiling, and you're gonna just have it, the lid ajar kind of, so you can watch it, and you're gonna keep continuously stirring. Make sure you get the bottom, that's where the flavor is. So I have my torn up olives. Remember, keep the olive brine. You want that to pour into this at the end. We're getting there. I'm fully covering it now because I want it to just, I'm hungry and I want to eat, so I want it to cook faster. But yeah, just keep on doing this, and then once you're gonna get like a more, once the rice is more cooked and you have like a thicker consistency and it's no longer watery, that's when you're gonna put the olives back in, and then you're gonna do it to taste. Don't dump this whole thing in because you don't know if it's gonna be too salty. Start with a tablespoon, stir, see how it tastes. If it feels like it needs more, go ahead and add a little bit more. And then we're almost done. I told you it's very easy. It's just, you just need to do all the chopping. After you're done with all of that, then you're gonna put the chicken back in, and then you're gonna stir everything together, and you're gonna eat it because it's really good to eat. It looks like this, and the water's starting to thicken because it's getting starchy from the rice. That's when I put in the olives and I put in the brine because I want it to cook with the rest of everything. As you can see, I put like half of what's there, the olives. I'm gonna stir it and let it keep cooking for another few minutes, and then we're gonna put the chicken back in, and it's gonna be done. At this point, when everything's almost completely done, this is when I add in the touch of oregano after, again, I salted and peppered, and I did throw in the rest of the olive brine. So I'm just gonna do, that's it, little, maybe half a teaspoon, I would call that, and stir it all up, put the lid, the heat is off, and let it finish, and then the chicken. The most important thing at this part is when you stir, don't stir from the sides, scrape from the bottom. Again, that's where all the flavor and the oil from the chicken lives, that you want to make sure is getting dispersed all up in here. It looks like this. Add the vegan chicken back in. And that's it.